An audience member of mine made a comment this morning. I thought it was very interesting. They talked about Sony's profitability and the narrative that Sony is doing bad is a blatant lie. But I think, Sarjay, that is a deflection. I've never said that PlayStation is doing bad financially. We are seeing, though, that their games are not selling, especially this year. No one has said that they're not making money. They even came out with their last quarter statement where they had increase in profitability, increase in revenue. So no one has said that. You saying this, look at this statement. This whole PlayStation is doing bad is a blatant lie at this point, as PlayStation quarter after quarter beats the previous record time and time again. You made up an argument and then you're attacking somebody for arguing that argument to you. What's going on is I'm putting PlayStation's business practices under the microscope, intensive light. So you said this. You said Sony literally had a conference call and they made Nintendo profit numbers. The PS5 is more profitable than the PlayStation 1 to 4 put together. Okay, great. But here's what you did. You threw Nintendo into the mix. I thought PlayStation, according to the so-called fans out there, was actually the market leader. Well, apparently Nintendo is smoking them in terms of profits in it. Okay, I'm glad you admitted that. You see, the business practices of PlayStation have gone on, answered for the longest time. I, as a PlayStation player, one of the things that kind of made me dig in was I remember talking about Marvel Spider-Man 2. I was like, man, there are just a few things here that I feel like, are not being leveled correctly. Around the same time, Starfield came out, and I was like, why is Starfield getting all this vitriol for all of these things when gamers will allow for even other games to get away with it because they love the game? I mean, look at freaking Stalker 2. It's buggy and busted, but people are still playing it. They love it. They bought a million copies worth of the thing within the first week, right? Gamers have this subjective tendency, but in the Xbox and PlayStation side, it's even worse. And so when I pointed out a few challenges and said, look at what we're seeing here with Spider-Man, I got attacked by fellow PlayStation fans. So you know what I decided to do? I said, I'm going to go ahead and show this company for the exact kind of company that it is. It is not special in any way. Just because they have media influence, many people are deceived to think that somewhere, somehow, that they're in the lead in terms of the market. When in reality, the moment we saw their leaked documentation, it was fire on the mountain, run, run, run. Xbox has bought Activision, run, run, run. Then they tried to block the Activision merger because they are vitriolic. Not only that, the way they've reached this point where Mr. J, I'm going to call the audience member Mr. J, you're bragging that they made all this money is not without being anti-competitive, as articles like this, which may have been memory hold, like Microsoft, claiming that Sony is paying for blocking rights, in quote, to keep games off of Xbox Game Pass. So Sony, who is basically undermining the most so far pro-competitive or pro-gamer or pro-consumer, piece of software out there, which is a subscription service actually, which is Xbox Game Pass. Somehow they make money and you want to celebrate that. Not saying that Microsoft are saints, but saying from the consumer perspective, how can you celebrate a bullet being thrown into your foot at almost 300 miles an hour? Like, think about it. Like, you know what I mean? It's what's called shooting yourself in the foot or campaigning against your own self-interest by constantly bolstering this PlayStation is profitable, hence they're doing something right, when in reality, it's smokes and mirrors. Think about it. The only way I could actually get to this conclusion, I think, is, as I moved to, to PC gaming, I looked around and I said, what is this company actually offering anyone? And, what is the issue with their whole hubris out there? Well, they were pretty much going through the market and taking money that they made from games like Call of Duty, FIFA, and all these other games to try to destroy Xbox. Now, Xbox, in the position that they were, knew that the only way they could actually deal with this was to find a way to be more pro-consumer and more consumer-friendly. But PlayStation could not let that happen so easily, hence moves like these. Moves in Asian markets and other markets, blocking games from not just going to Game Pass, but even going to Xbox as a whole. But now the industry is shifting, and I'm also pointing that in my videos. You see, you can enjoy PlayStation. No one is saying you're doing anything wrong. However, just realize that like any other company, they will be cutthroat. They'll do their best to try to undermine their competition, which is very anti-competitive, by the way. I don't want anybody to, not think that this is actually a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's definitely something that we must talk about. We must point out, because if you just leave them and continue to support them, they're not going to change to be more pro-consumer. They're not going to give you any value. And, maybe they shouldn't. Maybe, people who are continuing to support PlayStation, even while they take this stance, maybe you deserve PlayStation. Maybe you deserve their $1,000 console and their $700 Pro console, where you're paying 75% more, or $75 for one FPS, for one extra FPS, on games. Maybe that's what you deserve. I'm not saying that, maybe that's what you want. Hey, the choice is yours. But the whole conversation that I've had here for the past few months, where I've been talking about this, is just showing this company in the light of what they truly are and why the competition against them is absolutely good. The competition against them is pro-consumer for the most part. That's what we're seeing, as they've decided that they're going to add a PlayStation requirements to their, PC games. Developers and publishers are removing, their launcher requirements from their PC games. In fact, Dragon Age Veilguard, as much as that game, got its flack and such, it made its game DRM free, which is a pro-consumer move. They need to continue that across the board with other games. They want to sell more copies. They need to do what's necessary, because PlayStation right now is not the company that you can expect to lead the market with pro-consumerism. It's just quite obvious. So, do I have anything against PlayStation? Against their anti-consumer stances? Heck yeah, I do. So that's the stance the consumer needs to take. It's the stance that many of us take on, PC. Now, sometimes, we cave because, maybe we want to deal with something. We say, you know what? We can overlook this. But not anymore. The industry is changing drastically, and a lot of people are refusing to overlook it. Are you not seeing it? Look at Lego Horizon Adventures. Look at Until Dawn Remake. Look at a lot of these games that are coming out on PlayStation requiring the PC requirement. People are deciding to take a stand. Helldivers 2, there are people who, after Helldivers, went ahead and implemented that, they're no longer going to play a PlayStation game. They're not the only ones with games in the market. The Baldur's Gate 3 story is very indicative of that. They sold 15 million copies of their game. So apparently God of War Ragnarok is not special anymore. And Marvel Spider-Man 2 is absolutely not special anymore, because Baldur's Gate, 3 is more than likely going to outclass it and outsell it over the long run, because again, that game is designed differently. If you look very carefully on PC, it's number 8 in the top 10, played games. And this is a game that came out, last year. So again, we need to be very focused on what's going on in the gaming scene. And believe you me, if Xbox changed its stance and went anti-consumer, you're going to hear from me as well. Y'all already know, the Xbox fans, they already know. They're not, I don't play around with these console game companies at all, Xbox or PlayStation. But for now, Xbox is giving value for money every time you turn around. They're making games available to everybody. Everywhere you turn around, they have a pro-consumer stance. Now, yes, they keep exclusives, which is their right to do. But again, to me, I just think it makes sense that they've removed the barriers. And PlayStation continue to want to fight for these barriers, to me, makes them pretty much the antithesis of what I think being a gamer should look like. Talk to me in the comment section. I really appreciate you guys' time and audience. Hopefully we can talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.